Welcome back to the KingCast, presented by the King Economics Division of the Social Sciences Department. This is episode 1 of season 6. Holy cow, I never envisioned it going this long. I'm your host, Frank Roche. On our KingCast team this year, we welcome back Jack Zipper, class of 2024, and our new co-host, analyst Griffin Joo, class of 2025. Good morning, guys. How's everything today?
Good. Excited to be back for my 4th season.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to this is my first season, so maybe do a little bit more in the future.
Good. Griff, by the way, did you notice I got your graduation year right this time?
Yeah.
I've always thought of Griffin as a senior for a couple of years now, right, Griff?
Yeah, so get one more year.
Sorry about that. Anyway, we start this season on a serious tone with commentary on foreign affairs. Jack will update us on the Israeli-Hamas war that began last week with the terrorist attacks on Israel from the Gaza Strip. Griffin's going to check in on the Ukraine-Russia war that has been pushed off the front pages, though continues to rage in eastern and southern Ukraine. I'm going to do a little piece on digital wellness this week. We have a new segment, lunch reviews. I'm trying to do this a little bit funny. Lunch is a big part of my day, as I'm sure it is for both of you. And we don't want to offend the wonderful staff that feeds us, but we're going to try and review lunches in a way that hopefully will be good rather than bad. As always, we'll update you on King things, King sports, U.S. economic data, and provide a snapshot of major financial market price action for the week ending on the 13th. We're going to start, though, Jack, on a serious tone. Let's check in on Israel, Hamas, Gaza Strip. What do you have for us today?
Thank you, Mr. Roche. We all know about the horrific terrorist attack perpetuated by Hamas against Israel last Saturday. And while this is completely overshadowed by the loss of life that has occurred, the war between Israel and Hamas that has subsequently unfolded, like the Middle Eastern conflicts before it, has the potential to destabilize the world economy and possibly plunge it into a recession. The Middle East's position in the shipping and oil industry puts it in the unique place to determine economic conditions in the future, as it has caused much economic strife in the past, such as during the 1970s, when the U.S. oil embargoes led to stagflation, or an increase in unemployment and an increase in inflation. With Israel preparing to enter Gaza for the first time since 2014, the conflict may escalate to involve Syria, Lebanon, and even Iran and its contacts. This comes at a time when the world economy is particularly vulnerable and pessimistic, as the Ukraine war, as Griffin will cover in our next segment, has already shocked energy prices. The more the Middle East embroils itself in the conflict, the more oil prices will rise globally, spreading to impact the entire world. The rising oil prices have been forecasted by Bloomberg to rise as much as $64 if Israel engages in direct conflict with Iran and its network of proxies and partners in Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and Bahrain. And the conflict may impact Saudi Arabia, with a strike on its oil facilities not out of the question. To put this in perspective, Saudi Brent oil as of Saturday was $90.80 per barrel, meaning that the price of oil could increase to over $150, which would be the highest price ever recorded. In addition, China and Russia, who maintain close ties with Iran, may help to prolong the conflict, which could in turn prolong the negative impact. However, the threat of large-scale escalation is low, and we should be worrying about the loss of life that is currently occurring rather than its economic impacts. Nevertheless, this conflict will decrease GDP, and inflation and unemployment will certainly increase as the price of oil begins to hurt consumers and businesses.
So, Jack, what are investors doing right now with regards to this situation?
So investors are currently flocking to the safe, low-risk indexes and treasury bonds, with the S&P 500 and U.S. treasury bonds with maturities over 20 years on the rise. In commodities, it's a whole lot of speculation, as investors attempt to get in early on what they think to be high oil prices or get out with what they have, leading to a lot of volatility. Investors are also betting big on defense stocks like Lockheed Martin.
Now, obviously, we talk about economics here because we're an economics focused group. Obviously, there's lots of loss of life, lots of more turmoil coming. Israel has held off its attack on the Gaza Strip due to weather and giving Palestinians time to evacuate the area. This could spread, of course, some attacks coming out of Lebanon. We heard some attacks coming out of possibly Syria. So really serious. Talk to me about Israel's economy. What's the impact there, Jack?
With so many reservists valiantly serving their country in the Israeli Defense Forces, 300,000 ordinary Israeli workers are now out of the economy serving their country. The economic impacts of this could be great if the war continues, with their absence being felt throughout multiple industries and sectors like education, medicine, technology, particularly the startup, tourism, and manufacturing industries.
Yeah, the entrepreneurial sector there in Israel is quite robust, and this certainly could have an impact. All right, Jack, great job. Thanks as always. Griff, you want to stay in the same theme this week? We want to check in on Ukraine, Russia. Again, as I said at the start, kind of pushed off the front pages as a result of this. So now we have Israel, we have Ukraine, Russia, we have Israel against the Hamas and maybe more. We have Armenia and Azerbaijan. We have risks in China and Taiwan. But of course, what's raging most aggressively is the war Ukraine-Russia. Tell us what's going on, Griff. Give us an update on the situation over there.
Yeah, obviously with the addition of the Israel-Hamas conflict in the Middle East, it's important that we not forget about the fact that the Ukraine is still at war with Russia. Ukraine continues to do well on the ground despite the continuing Russian assaults around Kyiv. In the city of Avdiivka, Ukrainian officials report assaults from Moscow for the 5th straight day. Russia also continues to target civilian areas with relentless shelling, while Ukraine is now beginning to target Russian military assets. 2 women were killed Saturday by Russian shelling in the Kherson region, and many continue to be injured. Despite the great odds, Ukraine continues to hold its ground, exposing the weaknesses of the Russian military. Economically, the ruble has declined 40% to the US dollar since last year. Trade sanctions continue to pound the Russian economy as they continue to use resources towards their military. The US clamped down on more Russian fuel sanctions, along with the speculation that Russia could be supplying Hamas with captured American-aided weapons from Ukraine. Piggybacking off of Jack, investors will continue to watch oil and energy stocks as prices continue to fluctuate regularly. A new $200 million aid package is also being approved to be sent to Ukraine during the talks of a multi-billion-dollar package to Israel. It will definitely be interesting to see how Washington will deal with supplying both Israel and Ukraine.
That's a great point you make there, Griff, because we are short on ammunition. It's going to be great for the production side of these things, but we also have to worry about our own protection as well. God forbid China takes this opportunity to attack Taiwan. Ukraine continues to do well on the ground, really effectively taking on this huge Russian military close to their home state. Where now for the US, so of course, Ukraine will be back on its heels quite sharply. Griff, what's going to take to end this conflict, do you think?
I mean, it's a tough question. I think that there's really no clear answer. It's likely that Putin will not end up winning the war how he wants to, but despite Ukrainian progress, Russia continues to be relentless. I guess another question could be when the US will finally choose to take more of a backseat role in this conflict. I think with this new $200 million aid package, it looks like President Zelensky will continue to ask for weapons and support, which in turn could only really continue to escalate or keep the war at a stalemate.
Yeah, they're doing well, but I think what's going to end up happening here is a negotiated settlement. I think Ukraine ends up losing land. And again, as you say, as long as the US is there, they're going to have opportunities to take on Russia. But Russia knows this is going to play the long game. And it's not so clear we're in for the long game. And we already heard from Republicans, if they were to take over control of Congress and the White House, we'd see some reversal on this. So really serious issues here. All right, great job, guys, as always. Let me take a moment now to switch to something a little bit lighter, and that is digital wellness. How much screen time? Too much for most of us. And certainly for students, think social media, video games, texting, email, schoolwork. Guys, you'll know about this stuff. We're in the same building together. We see the same things going on. A recent Gallup survey of more than 1,500 adolescents finds 51% of US teenagers spending at least 4 hours per day using a variety of social media apps such as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X. This amounts to about 4.8 hours per day for the average US teen across 7 social media platforms tested in the survey. Across age groups, the average time spent on social media ranges from as low as 4.1 hours per day for 13-year-olds to as high as 5.8 hours per day for 17-year-olds. Girls spend nearly an hour more on social media than boys, 5.3 versus 4.4 hours respectively. The results show that YouTube and TikTok are by far the most popular social media apps among teens. Teens report spending an average of 1.9 hours per day on YouTube and 1.5 hours per day on TikTok, with boys spending more time on YouTube and girls spending more time on TikTok. Instagram is also popular with teens, attracting 0.9 hours of use per day. In a world that never shuts off, it's no surprise that students are more likely to experience fatigue, anxiety, stress, and depression. Studies show that they feel more pressure than ever to be academically and socially successful, to have an Instagram-worthy vacation, dinner, body, to be constantly connected and available to friends, parents, and bosses. Depending on how much time you spend online, you might also be at risk of other health problems, like deformation of the neck, hands, shoulders, carpal tunnel syndrome, damage to the eyes, or worse. When using social media or playing video games, some of us feel more connected to peers, more free in their self-expression, and more aware of others' experiences, while some of us experience intense envy and may have greater struggles with depression, low self-worth, and other mental challenges. The bottom line is that students must restrict their cell phone use. And we're trying to do that at King. I'm actually getting all my students to put their phones in the pockets, and it's working very nicely. And I'm really surprised how easy it was for students to do that. It was easy for them to use the pockets. Have you found this in your own classes, guys? Have you seen this happening?
Yeah, for sure.
Griff, we're in class together this year. Jack, we didn't do it last year. I did the bag or the desk thing, but I was really impressed by how quickly students were able to get on this. Anyway, 99% of the 4.43 billion social media users use a mobile device, 78% use a smartphone, 1.32% use a desktop, and 20% use both.
Mr. Roche, what are some strategies students and adults can use to manage digital wellness?
Before you post, know your intentions. Why am I posting? Are you looking for appreciation, inclusion, approval, reassurance, or maybe something else? If you're looking to be seen or validated, ask yourself, is there something more constructive I could do to meet that need? Limit the time you spend on social media each day. Research shows that people who spend more than 2 hours per day on social media have significantly lower self-esteem than those who don't. If you notice that you're struggling with a lot of envy or comparison, get counseling, get help. Finally, find humor. There's lots of great humor out there in the internet world.
So, Mr. Roche, who is part of the solution for reducing screen time and getting away from social media and video games for students?
There are 4 constituents here, Jack: the student, the parent, teachers, and administrators. All must be part of the solutions to getting students off their devices and instead engaging with others face-to-face in conversation activities. We need adults and teachers and administrators need to model that behavior by putting our cell phones down. I use the word solutions. In life, there are rarely solutions. Instead, there are only trade-offs, and that's what we're going to do, trade-off time for something else. All right, that gets us caught up with our hot topics of the day. Thank you for those wonderful conversations. Griff, let's check into something a little bit more fun, a little more close to home. What's going on with the King world and King things?
Yeah, so obviously this week is a big week for Viking Pride in general. With homecoming around the corner, we have a dress-down theme for each day this week. Monday, we have a monochrome day. Tuesday is Twins Day. Wednesday is Barbie theme day, which is definitely new, and I'm very interested to see how that's going to go. Thursday is Pattern Clash Day, and Friday is, of course, our King Gear Day. This past week, we also got a teaser for the return of the morning show, and I'm definitely excited to watch the episodes monthly. It was really great last year.
I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. In fact, I'm going to try to invite those guys onto the KingCast.
Yeah, I think that would be a super cool collaboration. King has also released their New England Association of Schools and Colleges survey, which self-assesses certain aspects of school life. If you are a student and you haven't filled it out, please do so. Looking now into the middle school, 8th grade students in Mr. Lewis's class got to go back in time to take part in alliance simulations and battleship games during their recent World War I history lesson. I definitely sure would have loved to be in that class in middle school. In the lower school, third grade students were able to utilize the King community and practice their interviewing skills while also learning about important members within the body of the school. They chose 3 people they were interested in, interviewed them, and then spoke about what they found. Like I said earlier, homecoming is this weekend, but that also means that the King Cares 5K is this Sunday. To give a little background, the King Cares 5K is an annual race around the school's campus that supports the Orphan Starfish Foundation and the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford. I encourage everyone to help out these amazing foundations by donating or participating in the race itself. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to Miss Rate.
I could not do a 5K right now. How about you guys? Can we run a 5K?
Oh yeah, let's do it right now.
No problem?
No
I
problem.
did it freshman year, but
Did it freshman year? Yeah, Jack, you row, right?
Yeah.
You're on the soccer team?
yeah.
Yeah, so you two are in good shape to run a 5K. You do lots of strenuous exercise. All right, let's move on. Jack, what's going on in the King sports world?
So it was an exciting day for King Sports on Saturday with 6 varsity teams having important games. It was senior day for the King varsity football team and seniors Benjamin Hellman, Leo Frizzoli, Owen Tucker, Edward Schreiber, Charlie Hill, Matthew Graham Brown, and Adrian Davies were all honored for an incredible King career. Congratulations to them. King played hard, but in the end, unfortunately, they fell just short 14-3 against the Dalton School. King School lost against Worcester at their homecoming weekend game by a score of 3-0. In more happy news, King Volleyball earned a 3-0 shutout against GFA on the road, and King Field Hockey moves to 8-1 after a dominant 5-0 shutout of Masters at home. And next week is homecoming, so we have a full docket. We have cross country having hosting Greens Farms Academy for their annual run. We have JV boys soccer, JV volleyball, all hosting games. Varsity boys soccer will be hosting the Worcester School for a rematch at 11:30. Varsity girls soccer will be playing Columbia Prep at 12:30. Varsity volleyball will be playing Ride Country Day in the gym at 1:15. Field hockey will hope to move to 9-1 as they take on Holy Child at 2 p.m. And the prime time game, the main event, varsity football plays Horace Mann at 3:30 on the Sagalis Family South Campus field.
All right, so it's going to be a fun week for sports. Have a lot of good things going on in the King sports world. Thanks, Jack. All right, a new segment for us this year, the lunch review. Thought we could have some fun with reviews, being careful not to offend the amazing food service team we have that feeds us each day, led by Lelio, aka Junior, who I call Chef. But food is a big part of my day. They work their butts off each day. In an hour and 45 minutes, they feed us all. Really amazing. So I want to be careful not to offend, but we're going to try and be somewhat serious on judging the food. The chicken parm here on Tuesday of last week was outstanding. As a cheese hater, I was so happy to see the chef put out cutlets with no cheese, with the beautiful marinara sauce on the side. Oh, so good, so good. Are we cheese people? Griff, you a cheese person?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you hate people like me. I hate people like you. You people with the cheese. Can't we just put it on the side? Wednesday, we had the California fried rice right down my alley. If there is rice, I'm in. Thursday was pizza day. Always popular, though it's always a bit too thick for me. At my age, less bread is better. Not quite cooked the way I like it. If we were going to use Dave Portnoy's one bite pizza review scale, I think it's a high 6. I don't think we get into 7s. What are your thoughts?
You're watching Barstool now. That's great.
We know the one bite pizza scale.
You're watching Barstool now. That's great.
Well, I love the pizza reviews. I'm a bit of a pizza snob. Griff, do you know these?
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy. Yeah, forgetting whatever people think about him, but his pizza reviews are pretty cool. And he can make or break a pizza restaurant. Friday, oh, so good on Friday. The Spanish paella served in that giant paella pan. And by the way, Mr. Grassi, do you see him serving?
Yes.
Senor was serving. So I love that day. Well, I didn't go for them. I heard the beef fajitas were also very good. What'd you think of lunch last week? Was something that stood out for you?
The paella was amazing.
Paella was great. Anything for you, Griff?
Yeah, actually, I had the beef fajitas, and those were also really good.
Those are good too.
It's a good blend.
Cool. All right, this week coming up, I'm going to pass on the mac and cheese on Monday. Again, the dreaded cheese, though very popular with everyone else. Tuesday, we have the beef stroganoff. Not a huge fan. I like the egg noodles. Not a huge fan of the beef stroganoff. The sweet and sour chicken on Wednesday, though, it has my attention already because it will, of course, be served with rice. Thursday, baked eggplant parm. Not an eggplant person. Not more cheese, of course. So not a huge fan of the eggplant. Friday, pork chops are always good, served with garlic, roasted potatoes. Those come out beautiful every time. Anything appealing to you for the week coming up for those lunches?
Sweet and sour chicken, gotta be.
Sour chicken?
Yeah,
Griff?
sweet and sour
You like the
chicken's
mac and
always been
cheese?
my
Is that a big
favorite.
day?
I'm not a mac and cheese guy, not gonna
No?
lie.
Griffin?
I'll have the mac and cheese.
the
I
mac
think
and
it's
cheese?
always really good. So
Okay. Now I have a food hack. So on I have a couple days here where I'm not really excited. The beef stroganoff day and the cheese days. So one of the food hacks I use at King is I'll go in the morning, you know, they serve us food in the morning. I'll go to the cafeteria, buy some bacon. I'll put the bacon in the fridge in the faculty lounge. Then at lunch, I make myself a BLT. Using that nice ciabatta roll, get some lettuce and tomato, the mayo, and that's my little lunch hack for the days I'm not too excited about what's going on in the hot plate. Any lunch hacks for you guys? No?
I think my lunch hack more has to do with the line. I feel there's a lot of lines. Sometimes I have clubs, so I just
Yep.
get right into like the big lunch 2 line. So I like to kind of sit down with my friends if they have lunch 1, or maybe just hang around in the pit with my friends, and then
Yep.
I'll go up when the line's a little bit shorter.
The lines have been a battle this year, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I eat lunch in the faculty lounge, and I catch a lot of people cutting line, and I always bust them. I always bust them. All right, let's go ahead and check on some U.S. economic data. You all know I'm a data fiend. You want to know the performance of the U.S. economy. If you are a trader, an investor, a saver, you must pay attention to the data. On Friday, we had October Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index 63 versus 68.1 in September, down 7.5%. A little concerned about the near future with inflation still. Initial unemployment insurance claims for the week ending October 7th, 209,000 versus 204,000 the prior week. Still very low numbers. America is lean and mean when it comes to employment right now. September Consumer Price Index up 0.4% versus up 0.6% in August. Year over year up 3.7%. Still elevated, still an inflation problem. The Fed will hike rates at least one more time this year. Wednesday, as always, at 7 a.m., MBA mortgage applications for the week ending October 7th, up 0.6% versus down 0.6% in the prior week. Volatile series there. Interest rates are higher. Prices are very high. Housing's got some troubles on its hands. And then also on Wednesday, September Producer Price Index up 0.5% versus up 0.7% in August. Year over year, 2.2%. Still, inflation is a problem. Too much spending on the fiscal side. Fed's trying to control that with higher interest rates. No data on Tuesday, and of course, we are off on Monday. For the week ahead of October 16th, on Monday, October New York Empire State Manufacturing Index, September federal budget balance, Tuesday, September retail sales, September capacity utilization, how much of our capital stock is in use right now, September industrial production. Wednesday, as always, 7 a.m., MBA mortgage applications for the week ending October 14th. Also, September housing starts, and overall August net international capital flows, the appetite on the part of foreign nationals to invest in the U.S. Thursday, as always, at 8:30, initial unemployment claims for the week ending October 14th. We also have the October Philadelphia Federal Reserve Business Conditions Index and September existing home sales. Friday, no data. All right, with that data, we always want to see how markets reacted to economic data. And so let's go ahead and check in on the major markets. Jack, what's happened in the stock market the past week?
Yes, the S&P 500 opened the week at 4,344, had a high of 4,384, a low of 4,313, and closed at 4,327 points, down 17 points for the week, or 0.3%.
Still near all-time highs. Griff, what's going on in the bond world? What's going on with interest rates?
the 10-year U.S. Treasury bond opened the week at 4.6%. It had a high of 4.7%, a low of 4.5%, and a close of 4.6%. So pretty unchanged on the week.
Rates are finally starting to rise in the long end. I like it. Concerns about inflation are becoming cemented into the bond market. Good news. Foreign exchange, Jack, what's happening to the U.S. dollar?
So the US dollar index opened the week at 105.99, had a high of 106.78, a low of 105.59, and a close of 106.67, up 68 pips for the week.
And Griff, finish us off. What's happening with commodities?
Yeah, the Dow Jones Commodities Index opened the week 988.78, had a high of 1,006.5, a low of 979.49, and a close of 1006.03, up 17.25 points for the week.
Yeah, that's led by oil with respect to what's happening in Israel, of course, what's happening in Ukraine and Russia as well. All right, that closes us off for the day. Let's leave, as always, with our friendly reminders. Jack, start us off.
Do your reading, do your homework, and come to class prepared.
Use your blinker when making turns or switching lanes, and stop signs mean stop. And no texting while driving.
Good, some good driving cues, and always try to buy American. That's it for us. Join us again next week, and tell your friends and family to listen to the KingCast at kingschoolct.org. Academics, upper school, clubs, and activities. And we're out.